Devaya Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Just 1 second, please. So, Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much for taking time to tune in today. Uh, we are in the auspicious month of Kartik. Um, so wonderful to have the association of devotees, and it is great to read Srimad Bhagavatam and hear Srimad Bhagavatam in the association of devotees. So thank you all for giving your kind association. So we've been discussing the ninth chapter of Canto 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Passing Away of Bhishma Dev. So just to give you a brief overview of what we had discussed in the last two classes. So on the 10th day of battle, Bhishma Deva fell down. And when Bhishma Deva was falling down, Arjuna shot arrows. So there was actually even an inch gap between the arrows. So he fell down, like, he made a bed of arrows. And at the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, Lord Krishna, along with Pandavas, went to see Bhishma Dev. So when they went there, Bhishma Dev nicely welcomed them. Not only Krishna and Pandavas, but all other great saintly people from other planets also came there to give a nice farewell to Bhishma Dev. What a celebration it is to have devotees next to you when you are leaving your body. Wonderful opportunity. So you did not inform anyone, but everybody came from all the planets, all great sages, Vyasdev, Shukadev Goswami, Vashishta, Parashuram, and other sages. Narad was there. So they were all just gathered there. So Bhishma Dev, knowing the etiquette, received them well. Bhishma Dev is Mahajan. Mahajan means a great devotee of the Lord. They know the real religious principle. Real religious principles, they vary. They vary according to the time, place, and circumstance. And the real religious principle is to take shelter of Krishna. Krishna also tells in the Gita, famous verse 1866, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender unto me. So that is the real religion. These Mahajans, they know this truth and they practice this, this principle. So knowing this truth and is knower of the etiquette, received them well, and then he enumerates the calamities that Pandavas have undergone. And after listing all the calamities, Bhishma Dev said that you great souls suffered like anything. this is nothing but by nothing. I can only see that the main reason for these sufferings is the eternal time, supreme factor. Mm. It is not by their karma Pandavas suffered, it is the will of the Lord. Lord put them into that situation. It is only Lord's will that happened. Mm. And then Bhishma Dev um, appreciated Krishna being there, uh, Krishna's presence there. Uh, so, my Lord, I'm about to leave. You came here. I really appreciate. I know that you are impartial, but yet you are very close to your dear devotees. Mm. And he really appreciates, and Krishna, you do look after your devotees. He appreciated Krishna's presence. And then Maharaj Yudhishthir, so he asked Bhishmadev to give him the religious principles so that he can rule the kingdom. Now he is the emperor of the world. uh, so he just asked Bhishmadev to give him the knowledge, various religious principles. Mm. So from that incident, we understand that although Krishna was present there, but Krishna wanted to hear, Krishna wanted to glorify Bhishmadev. That's why Krishna made Bhishmadev speak the religious principles. Mm. Krishna made Yudhishthir ask Bhishmadev so that Bhishmadev would be able to narrate all these things. Mm. So Krishna gives credit to his own devotees. And Bhishmadev narrated. It was at a length. In Mahabharata, I think they comprise of at least two parvas, huge, you know, work. And he also spoke the 1,000 names of Vishnu called Vishnu Sahasranama. Um, and then Bhishmadev, so he just noticed that the right time has come for him to leave this mortal world. When the sun had entered into the northern hemisphere, um, so Bhishmadev decided to just fully focus and offer prayers and leave, ready to leave his body. Uh, a devotee, whenever he leaves his body, he goes to Krishna, a pure devotee. Mm. But however, when Krishna was there, anyway, it is a good time. Krishna was there, and also the time has come. And so he just took that opportunity, um, and prepared himself um, to leave the body. He has got this great boon that he can leave his body at his own will. Um, and so Bhishmadev started offering prayers. So we discussed the prayers, text 37 until text 37 in the last class. Um, so Bhishmadev was mainly remembering Krishna as a friend of Arjun, as a charioteer of Arjun. And he especially recollected this great pastime where so Bhishma took a vow. Yeah, um, sorry, Krishna break his own vow to fulfill the vow of Bhishmadev. Mm. We narrated this story in the last class, but just to reiterate again, just to mention briefly, that Duryodhan said that, you are partial to the Pandavas, you are not killing the Pandavas. Mm. So you are such a great warrior. They are nothing for you. So Bhishmadev gave 5 arrows to Duryodhan and said to him that you bring them tomorrow. Using these 5 arrows, I would kill 5 Pandavas without a doubt. But Krishna knows this, and he sent Arjun to Duryodhan and tricked and got those 5 arrows. So when next day, when Bhishma Dev asked, give me those 5 arrows, and Duryodhana said, no, I gave it to Arjun. And Bhishma Dev knew this is the act of Krishna, because Krishna is the knower. He knows everything. So Bhishma Dev said, you made you made me break my own promise. I took a promise that I would kill all the Pandavas today. I took a vow, but you made me break my vow. Now I will make sure you break your own vow, your own promise. And the promise was that Krishna said that he would never raise any weapon in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. That was his vow. So Bhishma Dev said, yes, I will make sure you break your own vow. And then that day, he fought so violently, and so Arjun was like shaking. And so Krishna had to, uh, rush towards Bhishma Dev. So there was he got down the chariot, and he picked up a broken chariot wheel in his hand and charged toward Bhishma Dev. And Arjuna was just holding the legs of Krishna. My Lord, you took a vow that you would never fight, you would never raise a weapon. Please don't do this. But Krishna was charging like anything. Uh, so Bhishma Dev became extremely happy with this act. And we discussed there are 2 reasons why Krishna broke his own vow. Number one, first one is to protect his own devotee Arjun. To protect his own devotee, to save his own devotee, he is happy to break his own promise. So that's the first one. Second one is to satisfy Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev took a vow saying that, that I will make sure that you break your own vow. So Bhishma Dev was remembering, to fulfill my vow, he sacrificed his own promise. Such a great Lord. And we discussed that in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, that's why he says, and that Kaunteya Pratjanahi Name Bhaktya Pranashriti. O Arjun, declare it boldly that my devotee will never perish. So Krishna is asking Arjun to declare it boldly. If Arjun declares it, Krishna will keep that promise. Yeah, he might break his own promises now and then, but he will never break the promise, promise made by the devotees. From that instant. And we also thought how, Prabhupada just said simply that, follow the process. Read Bhagavad Gita, read Bhagavatam, chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regulative principles. You will go back to Godhead. These are the words of Prabhupada. And just imagine how much dear Prabhupada is to Krishna. As single-handedly, he created this entire worldwide movement. So he is extremely dear to Krishna, and Krishna will certainly fulfill Prabhupada's words. So if we just stick to the process, and we have some hope. So let's move on and make some progress, and we will try and complete the chapter today. So text 38 onwards, I'll just share the screen. Neelam Mataji, is Madhav Kumar there, or would you like to ask someone to?
Yeah, give him 10 minutes, Prabhuji, but I can say.
Okay, so text 38. So we will read some of the purports also.
Prabhuji, shall I read today until Madhav Kumar comes?
Yeah, that's fine.
Text 38. May he, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who awards salvation, be my ultimate destination. On the battlefield, he charged me as if angry because of the wounds dealt by my sharp arrows. His shield was scattered, and his body was smeared with blood due to the wounds. Should I just continue to read the purport, or should I just
Yeah,
read
I'll
the...
just pick up the important points because we don't have much time. Sorry.
Should I read the next text?
1 second, Mataji, please.
No problem.
I've highlighted here, Mataji. Can you see the all spiritual body cannot be wounded?
Yes. Yes, no. Yes, Guruji. The all spiritual body cannot be wounded, and a devotee cannot become the enemy of the Lord. Had it been so, Bhishma Dev would not have desired to have the very same Lord as ultimate destination of his life. Had Bhishma Dev been an enemy of the Lord, Lord Krishna could have annihilated him without even moving. There was no need to come before Bhishma Dev with blood and wounds.
Yeah, maybe a little more, Mataji.
But he did not so because the warrior devotee wanted to see the transcendental beauty of the Lord decorated with wounds created by a pure devotee. This is the way of exchanging transcendental rasa, or relationship between the Lord and the servitor. By such dealings, both the Lord and the devotee become glorified in their respective positions. The Lord was so angry that Arjuna checked him when he was moving towards Bhishma Dev. But in spite of Arjuna's checking, he proceeded towards Bhishma Dev as a lover goes to a lover, without caring for hindrance. Apparently, his determination was to kill Bhishma Dev, but factually, it was to please him as a great devotee of the Lord. The Lord is undoubtedly the deliverer of all conditioned souls. The impersonalist desires salvation from him, and he always awards them according to their aspirations. But here, Bhishma Deva aspires to see the Lord in his personal feature. All pure devotees aspire for this.
Thank you very much, Mataji. So Bhishma Dev is recollecting this pastime we just narrated. So, the wounds caused by Bhishma Dev's sharp arrows on the body of Lord Krishna, they were kind of decoration to the body of Lord Krishna. And Prabhupada mentions that Lord body is spiritual. This is all external, and this is a transcendental relationship between Bhishma Dev and the Lord. So Lord, is rushing or charging Bhishma Dev to actually please Bhishma Dev. This is the relationship between the devotees. These wonderful jewels we can collect by reading the purports from the acharyas. When we read the books by other people, then we won't get the same feeling, same juice when we read the books by non-devotees. But whereas if we read the books written by or acharyas, they will give so much information on these pastimes. Let's move to the next verse, please, Mataji.
Before we go, Prabhuji, could
Sure.
you, if it's a very relevant question, what is this rasa called where Bhishma Dev is fighting with the Lord? You know how you Shiva. That
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember that, so I just wanted to ask you. Thank you very much.
And on that note, we have Jai Vijay, the two doorkeepers of the Lord from Vaikunta. They were apparently fell down and they became Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. In the next life, they became Ravana and Kumbhakarna. Then in the third, they became Shishupala and Dantavaktra. But actually, Prabhupada writes that when Lord has this desire to fight, he uses his own devotees. Uh, so devotees don't mind taking any form or shape to give pleasure to the Lord. That
So
is
in
surrenderance.
so does it also not mean that when we are looking at all these people, even though they came in demoniac forms to fight with the Lord, they are all devotees of the Lord, hence they are all very respected.
Yeah, yeah, it's true. They're all respected. The basic thing is that one level, basically there are some teachings, external teachings that, if a demon, if you do bad, this will happen. And, so vice cannot win the virtue. That is the principle that Lord wants to demonstrate. But these personalities are like, it's like a pastime. Krishna is, someone acts as villain, someone acts as, hero, like that. Mm.
But essentially, they must be so elevated that they got the opportunity to fight
Yeah,
with the Lord.
exactly. Mm. Okay, so move. Let's move on and make some progress. So text 39, please. Who would like to read text 39?
Prabhuji, can read on a bit.
Okay, you are here. You're back.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Moment of death, let my ultimate attraction be to Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. I concentrate my mind upon the chariot driver of Arjun, who stood with a whip in his right hand and a bridle rope in his left, who was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot by all means. Those who saw him on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original forms after death.
So this is again Bhishma Dev is remembering his relationship with Krishna on the battlefield, and uh, here he says that those who saw the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and left their body, they all have attained, uh, you know, virginal forms. They were all liberated. Uh, so Prabhupada mentions in the purport that Krishna was not only merciful to the Pandavas, but he was also merciful to all other people who are on the battlefield. Mm. So they all attained liberation. Mm. So why not Bhishma Dev? Bhishma Dev will also attain. Mm. And here again, Bhishmadev repeatedly thinking Krishna in connection with Arjun. So Bhishmadev repeatedly says that Parthasarathi, a charioteer of Arjun, and Krishna really likes to be called the friend of or charioteer of Arjun. Mm. The point here is that he was merciful, and those people who saw Krishna on the battlefield all went back to Vaikuntha. So next was
40.
40. Yeah. You can carry on till 43, please.
Thank you. Let my mind be fixed upon Lord Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Vrajdam, the gopis. The damsels imitated the characteristic movements of the Lord after his disappearance from the rasa dance.
so again. Bhishmadev was now remembering Lord's pastimes in connection with gopis. Until now, he remembered Lord's activities and pastimes in relation to Arjun. But in this verse, he is remembering his pastimes in connection with gopis. And, Prabhupada makes a wonderful point here. Uh, can we just read that highlighted bit, Mataji?
Yes, Roji. The Lord is satisfied more when his pure devotees are glorified. And therefore, Bhishma Dev has not only glorified the acts of Arjuna, his immediate object of attraction, but has also remembered the gopis who were endowed with unrivaled opportunities for rendering loving service to the Lord.
That's fine. Thank you, Mataji.
Mm.
What is the learning point for us from this? Um, you know, Bhishma Dev is thinking of Krishna in relation to Arjun, and Bhishma Dev is talking about gopis. So Prabhupada says here that Lord is really pleased when he's connected to his pure devotees, when his pure devotees are glorified. The message for us, for me, I'm thinking that how much I should be grateful to Prabhupada, how much I should glorify Prabhupada each and every day, how much I should listen to the activities of Prabhupada, transcendental activities of Prabhupada. Mm. Whenever I read Bhagavad Gita, I should thank Prabhupada. Whenever I read Bhagavatam, I should thank Prabhupada for giving these purports. So now he's connecting all of us to Krishna very nicely. So every moment, every day, if we can thank Prabhupada and glorify Prabhupada and serve Prabhupada, our life, we can also perfect our life. I have hope based on these purports and based on Krishna's qualities. So next verse, please.
21. At the Rajasuya Yajna sacrifice performed by Maharaja Yudhishthir, there was a great assembly of all the elite men of the world, the royal and learned orders, and in that great assembly Lord Sri Krishna was worshipped by one and all as the most exalted personality of Godhead. This happened during my presence, and I remembered the incident in order to keep my mind upon the Lord.
So wonderful point. I remembered the instant in order to keep my mind upon the Lord. Bhishma Dev is remembering another pastime where Lord Krishna was glorified or worshipped. Maharaj Yudhishthir, he had this great sacrifice called Rajasuya Yajna, a famous sacrifice. And everybody was gathered. So many people from all over the world came. And if I understand correctly, even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva were also present in that assembly. And so they were wondering that Agra Puja means, some eldest should be worshipped. The greatest personality should be worshipped. They were all thinking, who should we worship? Should we worship Bhishma? Should we worship Drona? Should we worship other people? And Sahadev in that assembly, he says that Lord Krishna should be worshipped. So is recollecting that pastime. And Prabhupada makes a wonderful point here. I'll just, if you can read this third paragraph, I will stop, Mataji, whenever necessary. Third paragraph.
Yes. So in that great assembly, Lord Sri Krishna was the signosure of neighboring eyes. Everyone wanted to see Lord Krishna, and everyone wanted to pay his humble respects to the Lord. Bhishma Deva remembered all this and was glad that his worshipful Lord, the personality of Godhead, was present before him in his actual formal presence. So to meditate on the Supreme Lord is to meditate on the activities, form, pastimes, name, and fame of the Lord. That is easier than what is imagined as meditation on the impersonal feature of the Supreme.
Thank you, Mataji. I
Thank you.
think that is the point I wanted to just bring up here. Sometimes we wonder, what is this meditation? How to meditate on the Lord? Here, Bhishma Dev, in his last moments, You were just thinking all these pastimes, all the activities of the Lord. Prabhupada wonderfully puts this this wonderful point here. So to meditate on the Supreme Lord is to meditate on the activities, form, pastimes, name, and fame of the Lord. That is easier than what is imagined as meditation on the supreme, on the impersonal feature of the Supreme. Hmm. So it really stuck when I was reading the purport, and I wanted to just share that this is the meditation. What we do is whatever we read, whatever we do repeatedly, whoever we associate with repeatedly, those things we think of always. Mm. So after this class, I will be thinking again at least good couple of hours on each and everything that I've spoken. So whatever I speak, whatever I hear, and whoever I associate with, I remember those pastimes, those activities. Hmm. So the more, that's why Prabhupada recommended that we read Krishna book before we go to bed. Prabhupada said, before we go to bed, read Krishna book, because you can, dream about Krishna. Mm. So simple thing is that the more we hear, the more we meditate upon those pastimes. Now we understand that Bhishmadev pastime. One thing I will never forget is that how grateful Lord Krishna is, that he break his own promise to keep the promise of his own devotee Bhishmadev. Just meditating, like, I can see that picture is there, and Bhishmadev is lying on the bed of arrows. Krishna, Pandavas, all other people gathered there, and Bhishmadev is offering these wonderful prayers uh, like that. So as we read more and more, we can just think of those pastimes. That is the real meditation. Uh, so some people, they close their eyes and they meditate on zero. Prabhupada said that is that is not the real meditation. We can just think of Lord's activities.
In fact, actually, Prabhuji, meditation is explained so explicitly here because people's idea that they must sit in a quiet room and sit cross-legged and sit in a certain way and then try to meditate upon the Lord is not possible. It is so much easier to open the Bhagavatam or even sit with another devotee and just talk about the stories of the Lord or talk about anything in relation to the Lord. That is actually a very nice way of meditating upon the Lord.
Sure. Thank you, Mataji. And now in this association, we are just meditating on Krishna. This is a meditation, wonderful meditation.
Yeah.
Meditating on Krishna means meditating on devotees also.
Yes.
So if we meditate, if we think of Bhishmadev, that means we are
Yes.
also meditating Krishna. When we talk about Prabhupada, we are also meditating
on Krishna.
On Krishna, because Lord is never be separate from his devotees.
Yeah.
He is inseparable from his devotees.
Yes.
So let's move on.
42.
So
Now I can meditate with full concentration upon that one Lord, Sri Krishna, now present before me, because now I have transcended the misconceptions of duality in regard to his presence in everyone's heart, even in the hearts of the mental speculators. He is in everyone's heart. The sun may be perceived differently, but the sun is one.
yeah, so another way is he's thinking that how Lord is present everywhere. So I put the last paragraph, I think. Can we read the last paragraph, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. The worshipable object of Bhishma Deva is Lord Sri Krishna as Parthasarthi, and that of the gopis is the same Krishna in Vrindavan as the most attractive Shyamasundara. Sometimes less intelligent scholars make a mistake and think that the Krishna of Vrindavan and that of the Battle of Kurukshetra are different personalities. But for Bhishma Deva, this misconception is completely removed. Even the impersonalist object of destination is Krishna, as the impersonal Jyoti, and the yogi's destination of Paramatma is also Krishna. Krishna is both Brahma Jyoti and localized Paramatma, but in Brahma Jyoti or Paramatma, there is no Krishna or sweet relations with Krishna. In his personal feature, Krishna is both Parthasarthi and Shyamasundara of Vrindavan. But in his impersonal feature, he is neither in the Brahmajyoti nor in the Paramatma. Great Mahatmas like Bhishma Dev realize all these different features of Lord Sri Krishna, and therefore they worship Lord Krishna, knowing him as the origin of all features.
Thank you, Mataji. Prabhupada made a couple of wonderful points here. Um, that sometimes some people think that the pastimes with gopis are more spiritual than the activities of Lord with Arjun on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So Prabhupada repeatedly says this in his purports, that there is no difference. The activities of the Lord on the battlefield of Kurukshetra or with the gopis, they are on the same transcendental level. Mm. And Prabhupada makes another important point, that Krishna is the source of all features. There is a feature of Brahman. Feature of Brahman means all pervading aspect, and the Paramatma is the localized aspect, and the Bhagwan is the Krishna himself. Krishna is the source of all these features, and Bhishma Dev knows it very well. So moving on to verse 43.
43. Sutta Goswami said, thus Bhishma Deva merged himself in the Supersoul, Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, with his mind, speech, sight, and actions, and thus he became silent and his breathing stopped.
So one point here is a wonderful point. Maybe we can read it again and again. Have you seen the highlighted bit, Mataji?
Sorry, Prabhuji. Every man or animal must die at a certain stage of life, but one who dies like Bhishma Dev attains perfection, and one who dies forced by the law of nature dies like an animal. That is the difference between a man and an animal. The human form of life is especially meant for dying like Bhishma Dev. That's amazing.
Mataji, can you please read it again? We would like to hear. I would like to hear.
Yes, Prabhuji. Every man or animal must die at a certain stage of life, but one who dies like Bhishma Deva attains perfection, and one who dies forced by the laws of nature dies like an animal. That is the difference between a man and an animal. The human form of life is especially meant for dying like Bhishma Deva. It's beautiful.
Thank you, Mataji. I will probably read it again and again in the next few days.
It's actually a very, very beautiful meditative few words where we could actually reflect on how in our daily life we see so many people dying around us. Everybody is going to die, and how when they die, their whole life was almost pointless. But to have perfected your life as wonderfully and greatly as Bhishma Dev did, and then he dies with the Lord standing there in front of him, giving him darshan like that. And then he's able to praise the Lord while the Lord is standing in front of him. You have to be, wow, what an elevated soul to have been given that privilege.
Thank you, Mataji. So Prabhupada nicely mentioned that the whole purpose of human life
It's not to be like an animal.
is to live body like Bhishma Dev left.
Yeah.
So Prabhupada gives this wonderful example that Sometimes people wonder, normal people die and devotees die. What is the difference? Prabhupada gives nice example that, kitten in the mouth of a cat.
Yeah.
How does it feel? It feels comfort, shelter, pleasure. But same jaws when they hold a mouse. How does a mouse feel? It is also in the mouth of cat. Mouse in the mouth of in the jaws of cat, and the baby kitten in the mouth of cat. That is the difference Prabhupada gives. Externally it looks same, but they are completely different. The kitten feels so happy, and we are very fortunate, very, very fortunate, having taken this human birth. We have, somehow or other, what we have done, we don't know. We have, came to the shelter of the Lord. It is said in the Bhagavad Gita, Manushyanam sahasreshu kashit yatati siddhaye yatata mapi siddhanam kashin mam viti tatvataha. Chapter 7, verse 3. Out of many thousands of people, many millions and billions of people, hardly one comes to me, Krishna says. Hardly one comes to me. Out of those who came to me, hardly one knows me in truth. So it is very rare, extremely rare, that coming people to Krishna's shelter, and we somehow or other fall in that category. So let us take this opportunity. Let us take the full benefit of this opportunity, while, before this body falls down.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. So next.
Can we request Lalita Preeti Mataji, if she's available, to read?
She's downstairs, so I don't know what is going on there.
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yes, we can. Yeah, Mataji, you can read from 44 till the end of the chapter 49.
Okay.
Thank you,
Knowing
Mataji.
Bhishmadeva had merged into the unlimited eternity of the Supreme Absolute. All present there became silent like birds at the end of the day.
So just please read the last paragraph here.
Last paragraph. Bhishmadeva, as a pure devotee of the Lord, entered the spiritual realm in one of the Vaikuntha planets where the Lord in his eternal form of Partha Sarathi predominates over the unconditioned living beings who are constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. The love and affection which bind the Lord and the devotee are exhibited in the case of Bhishma Deva. Bhishma Deva never forgot the Lord in his transcendental feature as the Paramatma, and the Lord was present personally before Bhishma Deva while he was passing to the transcendental world. That is the highest perfection of life.
So here Prabhupada mentioned that how Vishnudev had entered into one of the Vaikuntha planets where Lord is eternally present in the form of Parthasarathi as the charioteer of Arjun. So how great. This is the highest perfection of life. Wonderful. And then for text 45, please. Lalita Preeti.
Yes, the bhakti has control, sir. Thereafter, both men and demigods sounded drums in honor, and the harnessed royal order commenced demonstration of honor and respect. And from the sky fell showers of flowers.
Read highlighted bit, a little bit here. Let's see.
Bhishmadeva was respected both by the human beings and by the demigods. The human beings live on Earth and similar other planets in the Bhu and Bhuvar group of planets. But the demigods live in the Swar or heavenly planets. And all of them knew Bhishma Deva as a great warrior and devotee of the Lord. As a Mahajana or authority, he was on the level of Brahma, Narada, and Shiva, although he was a human being. Qualification on a par with the great demigods is possible only on attainment of spiritual perfection.
Thank you, Lalita Preeti. Here, Prabhupada, the text says that, the other living entities from the sky, demigods, and all other beings, they showered flowers on Bhishma Dev. And Prabhupada makes the important point from this purport is that a devotee is respected by uh, great people, even great demigods. Hmm. That is the nature. So when even in case of Arjun, when Arjun went to heavenly planet, uh, so Indra took help of Arjun, and Arjun was able to defeat some demigods over there. So the devotee becomes famous, um, automatically becomes famous. That is the point. When one becomes a devotee, one is recognized by all the great people in the universe. Just imagine, just see Prabhupada here. What a tremendous work Prabhupada had done. Uh, and what kind of reception he must have had it. This and there is another point I'll just read. This showering of flowers from heaven is a sign of recognition by great demigods, and it should never be compared to decoration of a dead body. So a devotee is recognized by all the great people in the universe. So that's the main point I wanted to share from that purport. And text 46.
O descendant of Bhrigu, Shaunaka, after performing funeral rituals for the dead body of Bhishma Deva, Maharaj Yudhishthira was momentarily overtaken with grief.
Yeah, so they performed the final rites for Bhishma Deva's mortal body. And Yudhishthir was momentarily overtaken. He knows the truth. He knows that Bhishma Deva had, reached the Vaikuntha planets, and yet he is just overtaken with grief. Text 47, please.
All the great sages then glorified Lord Sri Krishna, who was present there, by confidential Vedic hymns. Then all of them returned to their respective hermitages, bearing always Lord Krishna within their hearts.
So here, see, we mentioned all the great sages were assembled there to give a nice farewell to Bhishma Dev. And after everything was completed, then they glorified Krishna. And here, they glorified Krishna and they returned to their own places, and they always kept the Lord within their hearts. Prabhupada makes an interesting point in the purport. You can read there that Lord is always there, always present in the hearts of devotees, and devotees are also present in the hearts of Krishna. Sadhavo Hrudayam Mayam, Sadhunam Hrudayam Tvam. I am in the hearts of devotees, and devotees are in my heart. So the text 48.
Thereafter, Maharaj Yudhishthira at once went to his capital Hastinapura, accompanied by Lord Sri Krishna, and there he consoled his uncle and aunt Gandhari, who was an ascetic.
So this Bhishma Dev passing away was taken place on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is some distance from Hastinapur. So Krishna and Pandavas, they returned to their capital, Hastinapur, and so their uncle and aunt Gandhari, uncle Dhritarashtra were there, and they consoled because Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, they lost their 100 children in the battle of Kurukshetra. So they consoled. Prabhupada just makes an interesting, important point about Gandhari. Whenever there is a Gandhari is the wife of Dhritarashtra, and she is a very powerful character in Mahabharata. And Prabhupada mentions she is no less than Bhishma Deva in character-wise. Let's read that purport. Second paragraph. Can you read? Lalita, please?
Gandhari was a powerful ascetic. Although she was living the life of a faithful wife and a kind mother, it is said that Gandhari also voluntarily blindfolded her eyes because of the blindness of her husband. A wife's duty is to follow the husband 100%. And Gandhari was so true to her husband that she followed him even in his perpetual blindness. Therefore, in her actions, she was a great ascetic. Besides that, the shock she suffered because of the wholesale killing of her 100 sons and her grandsons also was certainly too much for a woman. But she suffered all this just like an ascetic. Gandhari, although a woman, is no less than Bhishma Deva in character. They are both remarkable personalities in the Mahabharata.
Thank you. The last text, please.
After this, the great religious king Maharaj Yudhishthira executed the royal power in the kingdom strictly according to codes of royal principles approved by his uncle and confirmed by Lord Sri Krishna.
So here you can see that Maharaj Yudhishthir executed the royal power in the kingdom. It is based on the codes and based on the scriptural injunctions. So those days kings were like that. That's how they were ruling. There were morals. There were scriptural codes. Prabhupada makes a couple of interesting points here. Can you read the last paragraph, please?
Maharaj Yudhishthira is the ideal monarch, and monarchy under a trained king like Maharaj Yudhishthira is by far the most superior form of government, superior to modern republics or governments of the people, by the people. The mass of people, especially in the age of Kali, are all born Shudras, basically low born, ill-trained, unfortunate, and badly associated. They themselves do not know the highest perfectional aim of life. Therefore, votes cast by them actually have no value, and thus persons elected by such irresponsible votes cannot be responsible representatives like Maharaj Yudhishthira.
So
Are we
that's
talking
a
about
nice way to end. So thank you very much, and we managed to complete for the first time before 5 minutes. So thank you very much, and it is so nice to read these purports and collect some jewels in the Association of Devotees. So I'll ask Madhakumar Prabhu, have you got anything to say, or has anybody got any quick comments or questions and they wanted to ask or express their views?
Well, I think we'll take some comments on what we've just discussed first.
Sure. Anybody had any, if you don't have any comments, anybody has any realization? Sometimes when we hear something stuck, goes and that's deeply, yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Meenakshi Mataji.
So when reading all this, and when it says that what is the purpose of human life, and then you feel that it is our responsibility because so many people around us are totally not aware of the value, value of the human life, how gifted they are to have this life, and what is the purpose of this life, to recognize Krishna. So it is our duty to get that message to as many people, make them really.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, na, Bharat Bhumi te haila, Manushya Janma Yara, Janma Sardhaka Kari, Karu Paropakar. First, you perfect, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that we should perfect our own life by practicing these religious, these devotional principles, by practicing devotion, and then we give, we share this knowledge with others. Thank you for bringing it up, Mataji. We should endeavor to try and give this knowledge to everyone. That's why Prahlad Maharaj says that I don't want to live in the forest on my own. Some yogis, they wanted to deliver themselves. They do not care about others. They just maunam charanti vijanena pararthanishta. They are not worried about others. They are just worried about their own welfare activity, and they just go to forest and they practice this silence, and they wanted to deliver themselves. But Prahlad Maharaj says, no, 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 I don't want to go like that. I want to live in the towns. I want to live in the cities and deliver people. And that's what Prabhupada did. He came from Vrindavan to New York, like in America. Just see, you know. Uh, so he was literally following the example of Prahlad Maharaj. Um, Thank you so much, and we should all endeavor, and that's why we are trying to distribute these books and give prasadam and having these sanghas, and try and do as much as possible. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. This is
Hare
my
Krishna, Hamsini Mataji.
I apologize for my lateness. My son's late
Absolutely.
and he had his qualifications. You said about a realization. It's probably really way off, but here it goes. I think you were talking about Bhishma Dev and the death of a devotee to the death of an ordinary person with no concept of the higher level of things. And it flashed across my mind that it was a similar thing to the aspect of love that I'm coming to kind of understand. The material one being very self orientated, and the higher level of the gopis being everything absolutely unselfishly for only Krishna's benefit, his pleasure. And it seemed as though, although in one way, the Rasa dance is taken as a sort of something that people would understand at this world, it had that two parallels going on that look the same but are not, very, very opposite. Just that was the realization.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that realization. Anything else? Anybody, anyone wanted to share anything? Or Madhav Kumar Prabhu, have you got any announcements to make, or has he disappeared? Oh, he's there next to his wife.
Oh, my phone's overworked. It's died.
Yes, he loves Neelam Mataji so much because she's a devotee of the Lord. She's a devotee of the Lord.
Practice before preach.
Practice before preach. So I am not practicing, Prabhu, now.
well.
Good.
Prabhu, I think a very nice conclusion and some great messages and some nice realizations everyone's shared. And we just need to keep up with the mood of sharing and caring, knowing that we are so blessed. We must do our little bit to give other people the opportunity. There was a message I shared around Diwali celebration. Even though it's a bit different, but we can still spread true light of knowledge. So anybody who'd like to do that a little bit, please let us know. We're happy to support. As a temple, I think we've just crossed 200 Gitas in the last 6 weeks. Another 300 to go, just as a goal, offering to Prabhupada and the Acharyas. We have some sponsored copies. If anybody wants free copies to be given, we've got a few that you can let me know about, and I can facilitate someone sponsored some books to be given away. Ambara Prabhu, is he still on? Is he left?
Yeah, he's still there.
He's still there. I just wanted to share Ambara Prabhu with his own resources and enthusiasm. He's taken a commitment of 27 small Gitas, a full box. I just delivered to him earlier today.
There you go.
And he's going to go out in the streets of Manchester and distribute them. So that's his commitment. Thank you, Ambara Prabhu, for inspiring all of us with that commitment. He's also taken a box of 20 hiatus and some
Wow.
incense. So
Excellent.
he's going to do his bit. I just
Warrior,
wanted to
spiritual warrior.
share that, yeah. He also has 2 mridangas in his house. I just saw
mridangas?
today to make a lot of spiritual sound. Along with the books, I think there'll be some noise happening
Excellent.
in the
Excellent.
area.
See?
So all the best, and thanks for the encouragement. Ambara Prabhu, if you can hear us.
Yes, yes. He's there.
Thank you. Krishna willingly, all is fine.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Meenakshi Mataji was mentioning about this, and now see Ambada is doing a wonderful job. Yeah, so
That's it from my side, Prabhu. Thank you so
excellent.
much for your time.
Thank you very much, everyone. Very nice to very nice for giving your association, and see you next week. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Vanchakalpataruscha Kripasindhoscha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Bye.
Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.